You are listening to Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon. Why, hello, and welcome to Season 29, Episode 6 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Adam.
I'm Kimmy.
I'm Allie.
This is my daughter, and she joined a D&D club.
Yay!
She's going to spend a few minutes talking about that. But first, if you'd like to email us, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. In this episode, I'm doing this backwards, Greg from Virginia writes in about how not to award XP. Jolene writes in again on pre-existing settings. And Dave in DC writes in about game tone. And if you'd like to watch us live, go to happyjacks.org/live at 7:30 p.m.
Yes.
Pacific time on Fridays.
Yep, because I have a kid now and it's just too hard to get here by 7.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
And I got to pick Allie up from D&D Club like 5:30 and 6 on Fridays from now. Yeah.
Yay! Just wait, we can give you different games besides D&D to take to them.
They like their D&D right now. Give them time.
Right now, give them time.
Give them time. So, I want to ask you a few questions about it. May I ask you a few questions about it?
No. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
She loves her dad so much.
I know. Oh, yeah. So I forgot to record, so I have to scrape it off.
Okay.
YouTube. So, what made you get in? What made you get interested in the D&D club, or how did you find your way to it?
My friend was told by her friend, and she asked me to come with her. So yeah.
That's
Okay.
kind of how a lot of us started.
Peer pressure.
sure.
Well, my
Okay.
friend told me to go with them.
Right. And what was your first session like?
It was nice. Everyone was welcoming. It
Were
was
they?
kind of awkward because I didn't know what to do, but other than that, it was good.
How many tables is it? What like one is it like one campaign happening or?
No. In the first one, there were 2 happening, but there was another table where kids just like hung out, I guess, in the club room. But there's like 4 main tables in the classroom that the club takes place in, and then like a couple tables on the side.
Okay.
Each table fits like 8 people.
And how many people that are in the club right now? Do you know? Or how,
No.
like tonight, how many people were there?
I can count.
You can just give me like a
Yes.
ballpark.
Yeah. Counting isn't super great podcasting.
20?
Okay, she's
No,
very...
it's 12.
12. So like 2 tables worth or 3 tables worth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those of you who aren't watching, like, she very obnoxiously, like, took a very long time to count very specifically while grinning at her dad. It was fantastic.
Yeah. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah. It's kind of like when we count our dice rolls.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So, like, who is, like, the staff member in charge, and, like, what are their qualifications?
And are they hiring because Kimmy would like to apply?
No, I could start a D&D club in my school. I don't want to. But it's very different to play with high schoolers than, like, 9-year-olds.
Sure.
She's
It's a woman? That is so cool.
she doesn't really run it though.
You know, when I was in high school and we had a gaming club, our faculty sponsor was a woman too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, please continue. I'm sorry. That was not the answer I was expecting, so that makes me very happy.
She teaches 8th grade science and environmental science, I think.
Okay.
Nerd.
And yeah, and her kids are nerds, but I don't know anything about like her.
Does she run the game or do anything?
No,
She
she
just sits
just-
there and
yeah.
makes sure you don't hurt each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
If that.
Okay.
And so the first session you made characters and like ran through the beginnings of a campaign.
Yeah. Yeah. We made characters and started a game. Yes.
Tell me about your characters.
Yeah.
One moment.
Okay. She's pulling up her phone with notes on it.
Well, she's probably got the app. Yeah, she has
Yeah,
she has
I
the
have
app.
5th
Yeah.
edition.
Oh, nice.
Wait.
We need an 8-page backstory
Yes.
right now.
My character's name is Mushroom, and they're a forest gnome ranger with a background as a charlatan.
Nice.
Okay, cool. And what is Mushroom's preferred weapon?
Look at the character sheet.
A dagger, a hand axe, and a longbow.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Nice. Have you
Excellent.
fought anything yet?
No,
Okay.
the DM he prefers like not to do like combat stuff, so he doesn't do it as much. Like he likes chaos, I guess.
Yes. You got a good job.
Okay, so you need story games is what you need. This is right.
Okay, cool. All
I'm
right.
gonna have him hand you a pamphlet about PBTA. You take it back.
We'll hook you up.
We'll give you a deck and a deck.
Yeah, he doesn't like combat. GURPS is definitely the way to go.
But hey, my players in the last session. Oh, we messed up and summoned a demon. Let's run.
Well, yeah, that's true.
We're playing GURPS. We're going to run.
Um,
You don't have to worry about combat in
no,
GURPS.
that's true.
But you run it right. Okay, so did now? Is there anything? What are you doing?
Yawning.
Oh, okay. Is there anything? She gave blood today too,
Oh, good job.
so she's kind of tired.
Aww,
Blood
Donors
donors
shine.
shine.
that's nice.
Nice.
So, is there anything that you think? Because that you've known that this club's existed for a while.
Yes.
What kept you from not going before? Were you just not curious at all, or was there like a reason that you didn't?
And why was it your dad?
Probably was.
Accurate.
I just wasn't interested
You
because
are.
I wasn't like really close with anyone in the club, so I didn't really have a reason to go since I wasn't that interested in D&D.
Okay.
And you've played D&D with your dad before, right? Right? How many
Like
guys
once.
right? Like
Just
just
like
once-
a
yeah.
long
We make
time ago.
characters and
Right? Yeah.
But like when she was like 9 or something, like it was like a long time ago, like 10.
it was a while ago. It was a long time ago.
Did this feel different?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it because it was peers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
That's it.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Anything else you want to tell us about it?
Did any other?
No.
No. So are you excited? Like, if we had another game for you to try, would you try another game?
Yeah.
Would you play it with us?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was very non-committal.
Yeah,
by the way.
it was.
That's her. That's kind of
know.
her way of saying.
Yeah.
Because that's what she's like. Can you go like take care of these chores? Like, yeah, okay.
I don't. Hey, I don't mind. It just has to be like planned, and yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
Excellent.
cool.
Thank you, my love.
Wait, let's mute you before you touch the mic so it's not so wet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yay!
Yay.
Corrupting the youths
I put this?
Just set it.
on the table.
Thank you, my love.
Dice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you have bags of dice?
you want me to-
I will set you up.
Do you want me to buy you a really pretty set of dice?
I had pretty sets, but I don't know what happened to them.
That was like 5 years ago. That's what
Timmy
happened.
needs to buy you dice.
They're probably around
What's
somewhere.
this?
Yeah.
That's a D10. It's a weird D10.
Yeah. They look like Mike.
We're going to continue the show now, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Love you, sweetness.
She's now looking at we have bowls of dice on the table for people who accidentally forget theirs, so she was like picking out the best ones.
Yeah. Bye, Allie.
Bye. All right.
Okay, so this is really cool that you can see the chat up on the screen.
Yeah.
You can?
Fancy.
I can barely see it because I have old eyes.
Yeah.
You can
Well,
zoom in more.
I don't know how to do that.
Hit Control Plus.
Control Plus?
Yeah, or
I have to be in this one, though.
here, do this one. Yeah. That's it,
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, it did, it
Hey,
did both
even
of them.
better.
Yep.
And I'm assuming Control minus will put it back the way I want it. Okay.
Or you can go up to the URL and see there's a little magnifying glass. Click on that and then hit reset.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Brilliant.
Not? It's amazing that the Brave browser has all the same stuff that all the other browsers have.
Sure.
Oh, it's a new browser.
It's a Brave browser.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
How not to award XP from Greg in Virginia. Greetings to Stu and all the other assorted West Coast weirdos. Greg from Virginia writing in, hoping this finds you well and gives you something interesting to talk about. I miss hearing you guys read the funny accents. I'd be stoked if you read this in a Southern gentleman, like a Southern gentleman. Not that I've ever been accused of being a gentleman. Anyway, an email from several episodes ago brought up some deeply suppressed memories. I hope you find some humor in my story. The game was 3rd edition D&D. Our DM was a guy named Ray. The important thing to know about Ray is that Ray was very much a numbers guy. he was a statistician by training with a master's degree in number manipulation. Is that really a thing you can get a degree in number manipulation?
Well, statistics, yes, you could get a master's in. I'm not sure.
I've never heard of numbers.
This might be an allegory.
Yes.
An allegorical account of a
Right.
master's degree, perhaps.
Ray was a good storyteller with a decent homebrewed campaign, but he loved crunching numbers.
Ah.
One thing Ray didn't like was how much work was required to run a game session.
Here.
Right? He decided that if every player brought their own copy of the core rule books, it would save time when it came to looking up stuff, leveling up characters, etc. Not an unusual request, as every player should have their own player's handbook. And some players have their own copy of the Monster Manual and Dungeon Master's Guide as well. To reward us, Ray gave us 100 XP for each book that we brought to the game table. If you remember anything about that version of D&D, you probably remember how many supplement books Wizard released. And Ray didn't put a limit on the amount of books you could bring. Our min-maxer, of course, ending up with 2 backpacks full of books, earned more than 1,000 experience points per session. Can you imagine how quickly his character became overpowered compared to the rest of the party? When we first brought this up as a point of contention, Ray's response was that this is extra XP. No one is losing out on regular XP for defeating enemies, advancing the story, etc. No one is required to bring extra books, so it's not really a penalty if you don't get the bonus XP. Okay. Or as much as other people at the table. But wait, it gets better, because Ray loved to tinker and fancied himself a game designer.
Oh.
Ruh-roh.
What was his name?
Those people are assholes.
Yeah, those people.
What was his name? Jason?
Yeah, what?
D8s and Traveler. What the hell is that?
What's
I give him
hilarious?
shit about it, but I'm not really.
Yeah, you have to understand. So when the very first time you were playing Traveler and Joey was explaining the system to me, I'm like, oh, so it's PBTA that Stu can actually stomach.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't say that at all.
Oh no. What is happening around me?
It uses 2d6, but that is pretty much where the similarity ends. And now it doesn't.
And now it's using 2d8.
2d8.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
is it
At
2 or
least he
3?
knows what he is.
Right.
Yeah.
He created his theory that D&D, at least this version, was inherently unbalanced.
Agreed.
As written, the rules favor certain character builds, which, if you play the game long enough, can get a bit tired. After a lot of study, he developed this mathematical formula that determined the frequency with which the various game components were utilized. By assigning a value to every race, class, feat, spell, and weapon, etc., he figured out a way to place a numeric value on every aspect of the character. Long sword are the most common weapon used, fireball the most common spell cast, +1 ring of protection, most common magic item used, human fighter is the most common race class combo. The formula would split out a number which he turned into a percentage. The more boring your character, the lower the percentage. The more unusual or interesting your character, I'm assuming that is not a standard super effective build.
Yeah.
The higher the percentage. This percentage was then multiplied by the amount of XP you received anytime you got XP.
Is there like a rubric? So it's like fair, or is it just like...
I don't know.
Well, that's what he's saying, I think, is that it wasn't fair, so he made it fair by creating this rubric to, like, you made a more interesting character than the most banal human fighter with a +1 ring of protection.
Right.
Therefore, you get 30% more XP instead of the regular.
Right. But as like a teacher, I'm like, is there actually like a rubric with like a scale so you can be like, oh, in this, add up all the points to see where you are this much more interesting. So you get the... Or is it like literally like, I think that's more interesting?
It sounds like he's doing that.
That's cool. No, it's not cool.
yeah.
But I, as a teacher, I appreciate a rubric.
Yes.
A good rubric is always appreciated.
Anytime you got XP,
Rubric
including
the monkey boy.
Yeah.
including at the beginning of the session when you counted up the number of books you brought. So this guy's still getting an extra 1,000 XP a session.
Oh my god!
Because he happens to own 10 books. And the 10 is not that many.
It's really not.
mean,
At $50 a pop.
Well, they weren't third edition. They weren't that much.
Yeah,
But
they were
I
more
mean,
like $20 a pop during third edition.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But even so, that's
Yeah.
that's late 1980s dollars, not
yeah,
2020
right.
dollars.
Yeah. Kimmy, this is in the before times.
Oh.
So yeah.
They had a lot of books.
Late 1980s, I was.
Yeah,
That's not
you
even
were
there.
like 5, and
Oh no,
yeah.
but they were playing third,
Yeah.
right? Third edition.
Third edition, yeah.
would have been like late 90s.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I was in elementary school. I might have owned a book at that point.
Yeah, third was like in the 90s because I remember in 99 we were really like 3.5 was really solidly in and yeah, and it was still in for a while. So
Erica
yes,
Odd says no early 2000s.
Early aughts.
early odds.
Well, 3.5
3.5 early odds, but
Yeah.
3.0.
Were they playing three? I think were they playing 3.0 or
I think
3.5?
they're playing
Third.
It says
It just
third
says
edition,
third,
3.
so.
Yeah. So yeah.
They didn't make a lot of books for third because
Not
they
as
got
many.
they rushed 3.5 out only a few years after third, I think.
Yeah.
because it had problems.
Yeah, real problems. So third is probably the edition I played most beyond 3.5. So, but yeah, so I know it was third in 99.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
So,
sounds about right.
Yeah.
yeah. So
I remember I bought the 3 core books for third edition,
yeah,
and then just to read them, really, because
Yeah.
I wasn't playing games then, and I got them just to kind of look through them, and then 6 months later they came out 3.5.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
shady.
Yeah.
That's super annoying.
Third was out by early 2001. Actually, yeah, that. Oh, you know what? 2001. So this is 2001 is a very pivotal moment in my gaming career because it's kind of when I got back into gaming after college. So I was in college and gamed a lot from 92 to 96 ish. At 97 if you count my failed year of grad school. But
That would have
during,
been second edition, probably.
yeah, second edition was still the thing at that point, and I was mostly playing other games. That's when I started playing first Shadowrun. I was playing all the original World of Darkness books during college.
Well,
And-
that was huge in the 90s.
Oh yeah, huge. Now, so that was the early 90s, and then 2001 was my first summer of grad school, and I went to the Utah Shakespeare Festival, and that's where I met my friend Cameron, who is one of my favorite DMs I've ever had, and wonderful friend, and author of the play of Dice and Men. Which is it's so good, but it's about a D&D group and around the time of the first Iraqi conflict and what their paladin the player decides to enlist and go to war, and so it's about the group, these 20-somethings coming to terms with the fact that one of them could die and the campaign has to end, which are both terrible things,
Yeah.
and they're
Right.
and they're all dealing with growing up and all that. So
Interesting.
yeah, it's a fantastic play, and I wish more people could see it. But anyway, but that was the summer I met Cameron, and Cameron had gotten third edition,
Okay.
and started running us through third edition, and so I immediately, of course, rolled up a Ranger because that's the first thing I would do in every other edition of D&D, and it was a horrible mistake because Rangers in third edition were shit. So yeah. Anyway, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people. I skipped second edition too. I never never owned a
really?
book for it. No.
I didn't own a book, but we did play it once. So I mostly my teenage years I played AD&D, and yeah. So that was all through high school, junior high and high school, and then by the time second edition came out, I wasn't really playing D&D, so I played one
same
session of it, or one game of second edition, but otherwise went on to all the World of Darkness stuff. From those. Yeah.
I feel like second edition must have been what I played with my friends in junior high. We didn't play very well, so it's hard to judge. But
I think those are the books that were really colorful, right?
No, second edition was still the black and white like line ink line.
No, I'm talking about the covers.
Oh, the covers, yeah.
Okay.
That was that iconic cover with the devil face and the created a lot of the Satanic Panic. Was the big red devil.
The Ifrit? Are you talking about
Was
the?
it?
Well, there's the first edition DMG had the Ifrit, the giant red Ifrit.
Yes. Yeah.
And then there was and the player's handbook had the big sort of squat frog god statue that they're playing the thing.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
so. Okay.
When the game finally ground to a screeching halt, I'm shocked that it did. I had a 14th level half-orc bard. So you became the min-maxer.
Right.
Half-orc bard.
Oh, keep going.
Who played the bagpipes and traveled with a celestial monkey that he summoned.
Mm-hmm.
My bonus XP percentage was 32%. And
I don't have enough books, but I got a weird ass character. Give me that XP.
Right. And I was not the min-maxer at the table. Unfortunately, real life got in the way and the group broke up. Now...
Unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. Now, a question, if I may. Besides story milestones and the usual killing of bad guys, what are other unique ways that you have encountered for character progression? Thanks for reading my email, you bums. Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Oh, man. First off, like, that stuff with the books was bullshit.
Yeah, that's
like,
that. That's
super shitty. Like, that is awful.
Don't do that.
Like, hey, you with the money. Okay, go ahead and... Although I guess, like, in real life, I guess it sort of, like, levels you up because you have to carry all the books back and forth, so you get
You're
stronger
gaining a little
and muscle.
strength and endurance. Yeah, sure.
So, but I don't think it should count in games. No.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think those kinds of like outside influence things are really it's really kind of it's too easy to become unbalanced.
Yeah.
You know, and like the one thing I don't mind so much is people giving extra XP for the note taker or the summarizer.
Sure.
Stuff that is actually in and part of the game.
Yeah,
If
and that nobody
you
else
have a
wants
tardiness
to do.
problem, if people show up on time.
Right? Yeah. So, yeah,
But-
and I can see those things like that. But like, you know, if you're going to do something like this, like add everybody's books up together and then divide that equally among
Right.
them. You know?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I like that. So it's
Yeah.
fair, and then like people can share the books among them. And
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
I like
'Cause-
that.
Yeah. Because then, I mean, because you're not going to just keep all 20 books to yourself, you know?
No.
You can share them with your friends. But-
And really, I mean, I've not met many GMs that like splat books anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that this is like asking for splat books to be brought to the table all the time.
Oh,
my
You're
God,
begging
yeah.
for it
Yeah.
with this.
Yeah, and they had so many in third edition and 3.5. So, but I think I think part of the issue here might be here's Adam going into historical context, but like AD&D and second edition, like you leveled up at different rates, right? And then in third edition, I believe, but definitely 3.5 is when they equalized everybody, and different classes didn't level up at different rates anymore. So yeah,
They
so
did. That's right.
right?
You're right. You know, the early ones, they had all those freaking charts.
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah. So you had a different chart, XP chart for each class, and
Right.
like 1,000 XP would be like one level for the wizard, but it was like 3 for the fighter and 2 for the rogue, and so so it's so it may have been some holdover from that if this GM had originally been playing those older editions and was like, well, this feels unfair because everybody levels at the same rate now. It's like, well, that was the point.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, yeah,
But
I agree. Not the best way to give XP. But
I'm trying to think if there's been any weird ways that we've done it. I don't think there has been. But I think when I ran the 4th edition D&D campaign, we just every other session or something, it's like everyone just level up, or every 3 sessions. I don't remember what it was.
It
but
was something like that.
I didn't want to keep track of all that shit, and I don't like having enough
No.
combats to make the progression go as fast as
Yeah.
players want it to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a way of doing it, but I don't remember what it was. But it was something set like that.
Yeah, it wasn't counting XP.
yeah.
No, it was
and
not.
5th edition actually is very specific to having option of doing milestone leveling. So, so it's like you don't have to
Right.
you don't have to count XP if you don't want to. Just after a certain point in the story, somebody goes up a level.
Yeah.
So,
They're trying so hard to be everything for everybody.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah.
We have XP, but you don't have to use it. You can still play us and not use that.
Well, like that's kind of how GURPS was designed.
Yeah.
It's like if you want like more shit to do in combat, here's more shit for combat. If you like want slower, oh, and you want less, and then also the skills. Like here's 1,000 skills you can choose from, or you can like come up with here's like a dozen like very general skills that you can use, and there's a kind of a slightly different system for that.
Yeah.
The problem is when you do that, you end up with a 800-page rulebook.
Yeah. Well, and same with the Cortex Prime. It's like
I've been trying to get through that.
I can barely read the book.
No.
Oh my god! And I love the Cortex system. I really do. And it's like, but oh my god! I was finally just like, I can't read every single one of these options. And anybody who tries to put all of these options into their game is asking for trouble.
It's almost like the GM's going to have to spend like a couple weeks with the book and say, I'm going to now use this RPG construction kit to build the game that I'm going to run.
Right? Yeah. And
Which is an interesting idea.
Oh yeah.
No.
What
you should do if you're gonna do that, like have it put in different sections of the book. Like here's one way to do it. Here's the next way to do it. Here's the third way to do it. Like
build it like a technical manual.
Yeah, exactly. Like these are the 3 different ways to play Cortex Prime, or even have them as separate books or whatever. Because it's like, as someone who's been like spending a year and a half trying to drill down a game I'm designing to like this is what it's about, and like simplify it and cut out all the bullshit that didn't really add anything to the game. Like it's exhausting to think about it. These huge books that have all these options because. I mean, it's like when you go to a restaurant. Like, would you rather go to a great restaurant that has a small menu of just, like, stuff that's all perfect? Or would you rather go to, like, fucking Denny's or Cheesecake Factory with, like, 12 pages of menu and none of it's very good? And it's just like, except cheesecake, because the cheesecake's always good.
Cheesecake.
But so it's like one of those things. It's like, okay, like, here are all the choices you might ever want, but then it's on you to sit there and, like, figure it all out. Like, what's the point of that system?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that the Cortex Prime book, it would have benefited a lot from like, okay, here's the basic game. You need to pick one of these 4 options, then you need to pick one of these 4 options, and then one of these 4 options. And then if you want, you can start adding in other options. But really, anybody who's going to play Cortex, I strongly recommend like pick 3 or 4 things in there and leave it at that.
What's going to be important to your campaign?
Yes,
right?
Yeah. And honestly, like in some ways, I sometimes think that it was better the way it originally was, where you had these setting books of like the Smallville system, and it was like, here's the Cortex drama, and then you had the Marvel heroic role playing. Here's the Cortex, action or super heroic or whatever it was, and basically that's what they did. And then they did the Hacker's Guide to say like, here, if you have all of the books, you can combine them in different ways like this. But Cortex Prime was just like, here's all the stuff. Good luck.
Right. See, I when I started working, I stopped because I started writing other stuff. But I started working on like a second version of Moment of Truth, and it was going to be. I was going to literally build it as a technical manual.
Yeah.
So it's like, because it's like no fluff. It's just here's the basic game mechanics, and the way I was going to do it was have like the like bare bones basic version of the game. Where you could print off, print these first 30 pages, and that's your game mechanic.
Yeah.
If you want combat to be more granular or whatever, here's a combat section.
Yeah.
If you want to have bleeding rules, print out this page for your bleeding rules. If you want to have, you get that gritty, and also social interaction. I was going to break that out as well. So you basically would have like this very technical manual looking document. And you could just print the sections you want and say to your players, okay, this is the game we're going to be playing.
Yeah,
these are the rules.
And they all work together, and you can choose how
But it was going to be laid out so that you can just say, I just need to print this section, and this section, and that's the game I want to play.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
See, that would be interesting, because that's like... Okay, that's like going to like a pizza place where you get to order what you want on your pizza.
Right.
So it's like, okay, here's all the things in this thing, and this is how I'm going to customize my.
Or like Salads 2000 or one of those places.
Like something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, you're going to have a salad,
right.
but you might have a taco salad,
right.
which is going to have like 5,000 calories.
Yeah.
Or you might have like a kale salad with like that tastes like cardboard and it's like 30 calories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that can work in a system, but the problem is it's so hard to lay out a book well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think
That's why I wasn't doing it as a technical manual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was.
exactly.
I mean, literally, I was going to use like almost like a typewriter font for
Yeah.
it. So literally, like the big manuals used to have these big corporations in like the 1970s,
Right, yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I was going because I used to work at McDonnell Douglas. So
Yeah,
I know how that.
manuals.
And I was a technical writer there. So.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
like a massive flow chart. That's
Yeah.
like where my brain goes as a teacher. I'm like, you can go, and then
right.
there,
Yeah.
and then you can go there. And
Well,
then,
that's like and it, yeah.
Yeah.
We're thinking on the same
Yeah,
level here because it's like
exactly.
for the combat, it's like here's like your basic combat. Here's like like the three boxes that make up the flow chart for it, and here's the really complicated one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The new Call of Cthulhu has that,
Oh,
which is
okay.
actually very handy.
Yeah.
Huh, okay.
Seventh Call of Cthulhu has
Yeah.
has flow charts in it.
Interesting. Yeah, I really liked the game that you were running of that. It was really, like, it seemed like the system was much improved from previous.
It's very similar. It's an old game.
Yeah.
And it still is an old game. That they didn't change a lot mechanically. They changed some, but they they went through and retypeset everything, and laid out everything.
Yeah.
Completely with beautiful artwork and everything.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And like all the earlier editions, you could tell it's like. A lot of this stuff looks like it was typeset from the first edition. It's like, let's go and like type up a word,
Right, yeah.
paste it on here.
Wouldn't surprise me. I do want to point out what Master Vidar said, Cam Banks wrote a game that can do anything. He just needed a better editor. And I totally agree.
Yeah.
What game is that?
That was, Cam Banks wrote Cortex.
Cortex.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cortex.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Cortex
Like
fine.
I think
Yeah.
I think the layout and the editing of the
Yeah.
book is really where it trips up more than
Yeah,
anything.
it's a phenomenal system. Until I found Masks, the Smallville game was my go-to for superheroes,
Yeah.
and I was really looking forward to playing the Firefly game, and and the Leverage game looked really cool, and so yeah, but.
And that's
yeah,
a cool thing
so
about
the-
it. Like for the Leverage, they had that like the flashback system built into it.
Yeah.
'Cause that's
Yeah.
a big part of
Super
that.
cool.
series.
Yeah.
Yeah, man,
All right. Well, thank you, Greg, for the email. We appreciate it.
you bum.
You bum. Who would like to read a pre-existing setting from Jolene?
You want me to?
You do.
Okay. All right.
Jolene.
Hey y'all, Jolene, Jolene,
And
Jolene.
there's a copyright there again. They don't-
No, we were really bad. They're not going to notice. The algorithm's
No,
like,
no, they added autotune to their Google added it to their.
What? Oh my god.
and I believe Jolene like gave us permission to sing that every
Yes.
time she wrote
Okay,
it.
good, good. And for the record,
Oh, she didn't write the song.
No, but remember last time I was like, oh no, I'm sure she's tired of that, and she was like, no, actually, I'm not tired
Right.
of it.
I
Okay.
think
Well-
you'd have to ask Dolly Parton if it's okay to
Yeah,
sing.
and
I don't know if
Jolene-
I'm gonna look that
yeah,
up.
she
100% wrote that
she
song.
wrote it.
Okay.
She did.
Yeah. And Jolene, my name is Adam West, so I understand. So, feel your
Legit.
girl.
Okay, so
Okay.
I probably have told this story before, but I'm a little drunk. So, like the first time, like I met Adam is because I was going to be his coach at a gym, and he sent in his information, and like we legit had bets going about whether it was like a crank. Like fake, like
Whether I was
person
gonna
putting their
show up
name
or
in,
not.
and whether it was a real person, and then he did, and I was like, "Oh hi, you're a person, hi,
You're real.
yeah." I think I covered it pretty well. All right, go ahead.
Okay. So, hey y'all, Jolene again, with hopefully the last email about it, although I hope not, because I have been really mad that I've been not in the loop on these conversations. Because, oh my god, I had things to say.
Well, now you can.
Yes, yeah, but y'all were so delightful listening to talk about it all. I wanted to give y'all a few final thoughts. I just wanted to give a final few thoughts. I'll stick with the comic book settings because it's like my favorite and seems to have a lot of the possibility of protagonist problem. I think fear was brought up of, well, what's the point if Batman's right over yonder or something along those lines. If you play in a Gotham City game and Batman solves all the problems, I'd say you have a GM problem. Because if your game is a comic book, then the player characters are the main characters of whatever comic book you are playing. I.e., if you read an issue of Young Heroes in Love and Batman shows up, he doesn't suddenly become the main character of the issue.
You should tell DC Comics that.
For real,
gonna
same with
say.
Wolverine. But that could change with Session 0 and setting up what the players want and don't want in the game, you know? This is especially fresh in my mind because I just finished up a series of games of Masks in which we were set in a combined Marvel DC world.
Okay.
and we were playing year one versions of other characters. So, like, we had so many cameos and crossovers from other heroes, some of which we were asked who we wanted to definitely exist, others just fun surprises. But we never felt overshadowed because the story was about our characters. Anyway, I hope I'm done emailing about this. Love y'all. Keep up the fun. Never gonna write a PS.
Aw. Thank you.
Stand
Jillian.
by. Yeah, don't write a PS.
Yeah.
Stand out.
That's right. Be different among the crowd.
So, what were the things that you were screaming at the podcast?
Well, actually, this brings up one of them is that idea, and I totally get the idea of like your like if you're playing in DC and Batman shows up, if it's not handled right, it could feel very anticlimactic. You know, like if you're fighting the big bad and Batman is there, well, obviously you're not going to be able to do that much to really contribute to the situation.
Right.
No matter what you do, Batman has to be the star. And that tendency is just too great. But I think Jolene is right here that if the GM handles it right, having those kinds of appearances can really make you feel like you're a part of that world. And if you're playing in Star Wars, it's one thing if Luke Skywalker shows up in the middle of your combat, but if your character's on like a spiritual journey and like wandering through the desert and is visited by the ghost of Luke Skywalker to share a few wise words, that's a totally different thing, and it can really make you feel like, oh my God, I'm connected to that. My character's connected to that story.
Right. Well, it's like throwing focus. Like we talk about this a lot. Like especially as a performer on stage, like what we do, it's like important when someone else is having other moments. It's not like plays, it's a little bit different, but when we're doing like performances in concerts and things like that, if someone has a solo, like it's actually the best thing you do is like look and like throw your focus that way, because it gets the audience to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So if everyone on stage is looking at a person, the audience automatically, because we're herd animals or pack animals, like looks at that person. And that's what that does. Like Luke Skywalker showing up in a pivotal moment for that character is throwing focus at that journey of that character. Yeah. Where someone where them showing up in the middle of a combat, suddenly that is drawing the focus away.
Right. Yeah.
So it's really important when you're thinking of that as a GM of, okay, I really want to add this character in. You need to do it in a way that throws the focus to the players and their characters in that way.
Yeah. I just thought of this when you were talking about Batman showing up, and if instead of having the superhero show up, have the secret identity show up.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, if the party is trying to foil a bank robbery, and Bruce Wayne just happens to be there having a meeting with the bank president at the time, Bruce Wayne is in a position where he can really do a lot.
Yeah.
So the party gets to come in and be the superheroes, and the player characters or the players get to say, "Oh, look who's
Batman."
Batman. The characters wouldn't know that because how can he see?
Yeah.
He doesn't wear glasses.
What? Yeah, right.
Well, and like on his way out, just like after they save everybody, just have Bruce Wayne go, "Good job, everyone."
Right.
And they the players are all like, "Ah!" Characters are like, "Oh, that was millionaire Bruce Wayne. He is as handsome in real life as he thought."
Right? Or like have Batman show up at their hideout later and be like, "Hey, by the way, good job today." And they're like, "How did you know?" You know, like, "See ya," and then take off. You know, I think when you're incorporating pre-existing characters into your story. I think what's really the real pitfall is don't have them come in doing the thing that they're most known for. You know, don't bring Batman into combat. Bring Batman into a quiet moment of contemplation. You know, bring in Commissioner Gordon in combat and okay, he can shoot a gun, but it's not much more help than that. But it's kind of cool to see him be a part of it. You know? So I think that's just a way you can avoid stealing the focus from the characters.
That was a Mystery Men quote.
Oh, okay. I thought you got Bruce and Clark.
Lance wears glasses.
Yeah, okay, I got that now.
Was it Mr. What was his name?
Mr. Furious?
Yeah.
No.
Captain
Amazing?
Amazing?
Captain Amazing.
Captain
Okay.
Amazing doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay,
It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
He takes them off when he transforms. How can he see?
All right.
It's William H. Macy. Come on.
We were talking about DC though, so the chat's like, Bruce doesn't wear glasses. Like, yeah, he got Bruce and Clark confused.
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
No.
Okay. Okay. Well, there's a
I
little
was
bit.
making a Mystery Man
A
reference.
little
Right?
bit out
Yeah.
of context, like just a little.
How can he see?
Okay. You're forgiven. You're forgiven.
I love Mystery Man.
Okay. Oh yeah, and Erica Odd
yeah.
says that Bruce Wayne should be at the bank, and then there's being photographed by Peter Parker.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah. If you really want to, mix uppers and downers like that, sure, go ahead.
And throw all of the,
Right.
all of the secret identities.
Yeah.
Oh my, yeah, yeah. Like just mix them all up. Dogs and cats sleeping together. Who cares?
Fine.
But yeah.
All right. Thank you for the email, Jolene.
All right.
Game Tone.
Dave in DC. Speaking of DC Comics. Okay. Dear Happy Jacks crew, Dave in DC writing in again to give a tale of when the tone of a game is as played did not match the expectations of the, quote, normal tone of the game. The game in question was a session of Vampire. Oh, no.
Ruh-roh.
A Vampire using 20th Anniversary Edition rules. Because you know when, like, Vampire swerves off the tone, like, it's going to swerve hard.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking, like, Tokyo drifting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't turn into that spin.
No.
It's just going to.
This was pre-5th edition regarding setting. Several years ago, in the pre-pandemic times, I played in a game of Vampire at Gen Con called Tremere Troubles. It was set up. The setup was in New Orleans as a Camarilla city, and I did not but had no Tremere presence. This was because there was such a presence of, quote, magic in the city as a result of the confluence of various traditions, Native American, African Caribbean, European, etc., that it basically overwhelmed any Tremere in the city due to them being so attuned to magic. Every few years, Clan Tremere would send in a team of clan members to establish a foothold, but to no avail. The storyteller, GM, had run this game multiple times in the past. She had the pre-generated PCs and at least a dozen different plot hooks that she could vary up from session to session. Most of the PCs were Tremere, but they were all incredibly different. For example, my character had come from a Native American shaman tradition in life, so he had Thaumaturgy. I almost got it. Path related to weather control as his main focus. Another character had been a vaudeville magician who actually had some powers, so the character had a lot of levels in Dominate. There was a single character who is not Tremere. It was a Malkavian, who is assigned by the prince as our local guide. The player who got this character was amazing and played him as absolutely batshit crazy.
Excellent.
The tone of the game was probably much more comedic and humorous than I think the average Vampires player experience in a game. Never mind.
Average
average,
vampire
yeah.
player, not
Like-
average Happy Jacks vampire player.
Next time I'm running Vampire, I'm doing What We Do in the Shadows, Los Angeles. I'm
Yes.
saying that right now.
See, that's what
I
it
have
always
dibs.
ends up being, though. Like, everyone...
No, it's going to be intentionally.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll use Vampire. We'll use 20th Anniversary
Okay.
Edition. But everyone is, and I've already figured all of this out. We're going to have a new glossary.
Okay.
So there's no such thing as torpor.
Okay.
Right.
It's super slumber.
Super-
Because have you been watching it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'll have it for all of that. There will be stupid terms for all of the stuff
Instead
rather
of
than.
dominate, it's vampire hypnosis.
Right. Would you like? Are you
have to
enjoying
say it
your
like
biscotti? It is worms. Bat. That's it. And you have to shout bat if you're going to turn into a bat.
Bat fight! Oh, my God.
Oh my God! The season closer killed me.
Okay, let's
Anyway,
finish
go
this
ahead.
email. Okay.
Oh my God, my mother's vulva.
Okay, we lost it. We've gone... Speaking of drift. Okay.
Okay.
The tone of the game is probably much more comedic and humorous than I think the average Vampires player's experience in a game. It started from the first scene when being presented with the Prince of Elysium, where there was a betting pool on the odds about whether the group of individual characters would survive their time in New Orleans.
I love that opening scene, by the
Yes.
way. That's brilliant.
The odds were often adjusted during the scene. The group set off on our mission to investigate a questionable antique store, which mundanes could not see. Ultimately, it was discovered to be a shop selling magic items run by a demon. We were experienced Tremeres, so we weren't all walking into such a potential trap all at once. No, we split the party and went into smaller groups, while some of us waited outside. This resulted in a vampire version of the conga line,
Of death.
conga line of death, that often happens in D&D games. Anyway, the game was hugely fun and enjoyable. The tone of the game varied from slapstick to darkly humorous to deadly serious at points, confronting the demonic enemy. However, the overall tone was comedic, which rarely occurs in a vampire game. Okay. In my experience, there. Okay, I'll give it to you. It was also one of the best games, convention or otherwise, that I've ever played in, which is why I remember so much of it years later.
See?
Yep. Fast forward to the following year. The game was being run again, and I was lucky enough to play in it. There were different characters to play, different plot hooks to explore, and the GM was excellent. When I sat down at the table, I was the only repeat player, and I informed the GM that I had played the prior year. She asked me what scenario, and I told her the antique store run by a demon. She simply changed up to one of her other scenarios, and we were off.
She was going to run the same thing again.
While I played a different character with my experience from the past year, I did lean into the comedy humor aspects of the underlying background. This time the adventure involved magic and mythic animals and creatures appearing around New Orleans. We were off to wrangle them and stop whatever was causing this, because if people saw and believed in such things as unicorns, it was a short stop to believing in vampires and then goodbye masquerade. This is where the disconnect and expected tone happened. On understanding the scenario, one of the players blurted out loudly, "Seriously? We're hunting down a unicorn?" Clearly, this player's expectation of the tone of a Tremere-based vampire game was something much more serious, with such things as political maneuvering and dark aspects of thaumaturgy, and not hunting down unicorns and stopping a breach of Fey realms caused by some dark Fey, which is where the game went. Again, as the year before, despite the comedy, there were very deadly consequences by the end of the game. So, that is my experience with a game with a generally expected tone, varying from it in a very good way for a convention game, but in a way where I think disappointed some of the players who were expecting something of a more traditional tone. I do not think the GM was at fault for this disconnecting of total expectations. The event description strongly suggested a lighter than normal tone. The opening scene in Elysium and other vampires betting on us was present in both games and established a lot lighter tone. And the GM had run the game successfully at multiple prior conventions. I think the player was so used to what he expected as the normal tone for a vampire game that he ignored the upfront tells that it was going to be a lighter tone, if not downright comedic at times. Thanks for all the great gaming content, Dave and DC. P.S. Drink an adult beverage if this recording is on Friday night, or a breakfast beverage if this recording is on Saturday morning. It's all Friday night.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let me tell you what's wrong with this game. That asshole player. Book closed. No.
Yeah. Especially for a convention game, you're talking about a 4-hour window. I can't imagine really getting into all the depths of political maneuverings.
Yeah, you're not going to have a big political game.
Yeah, so if you're in a vampire campaign, that has to be part of it. It's just such a great part of the game.
Yeah.
But 4 hours, it's you don't have time to really establish the characters or the setting or all the players the non-player characters that are part of that political world, wherever you're setting it. So yeah, you're gonna have to simplify things down a little bit. And fucking unicorns are cool, and you shouldn't hunt them.
Yeah,
I think kill them all.
No.
Oh yeah.
No, you befriend them and then you ride them off into the sunset.
Magic.
Man, their blood makes great lube.
Whoa!
And you're gonna need it for that horn.
Wow, that took a whole
That get a little weird and dark for you.
See, that's how you spin it off, right? Yeah, that's how you take the tone and you just hard left turn.
Right.
Oh my god!
But I personally, I love it to take a game that is meant to be super serious, and that's why I think that's one of the reasons that the whole what we do in the shadows thing has been resonating with so many people, because it's the whole idea of the tortured vampire, and it's no, we're having a reality TV show, and
and they play
we're
it,
flatmates.
Yeah, they play it so seriously, and it's just beautiful. The comedic skills of every single person in that cast is just.
I was very nervous when they said they were going to do an American a version set in New York, and I'm like, God, they got to get the cast just right, and they did.
Oh boy,
they totally did.
Yeah, it's It's not set in New York. It's Staten Island.
Staten Island.
Or
Mandor.
Manhattan, if you will.
Guillermo, did you make another messy toilet?
Staten Island. This is my favorite.
Oh my God.
I'm leaving the island of Staten. I love that show so much.
Oh, it's so good. But I think this is one of those things where, I agree. It sounds like the GM's game description did hint that it wasn't going to be super serious, but yeah, I think Vampire specifically is a game where a lot of people take it very seriously, especially if they're LARPers. And nothing against LARPers, but Vampire LARPers go real hard.
Sure.
And so if this person is generally a LARPer or plays in a super serious group,
I think what you can. I think generally LARPers, even if it's not Vampire, generally look at their setting material more sacrosanctly than a tabletop might.
yeah.
Because I noticed the same thing with L5R. Because remember, I saw an L5R LARP when I was at Gen Con 3-4 years ago now.
Yeah.
It was like 5 or 6 years ago. It was a long time.
It was 2017, I think.
Wow.
First off, gorgeous.
Creepy paper.
Creepy paper.
Crepe paper master.
Right.
Creepy paper. Crepe paper.
That one killed me. Yeah.
Nandor kills me all the time.
Oh my God.
But
the relentless.
everyone was in costume.
Yeah.
And you've got not all the clans were there, but there were a lot of Crane. There were what was it?
Yeah.
What's the one or red Scorpion?
Scorpion.
Yeah. And
Lion.
I didn't see any lion, but the green crab. Is it crab?
No, crab is blue. Dragon? No, dragon.
That was a dragon. I can't remember.
Crane, dragon, phoenix, mantis. Maybe or
I don't think
mantis
it would have been
isn't. Yeah, that's
They're
a
their
small-
main clan, but they're
Yeah.
But anyway,
Dragon.
these
Okay,
people are.
see, I was right.
Yeah.
Dragon.
Oh, it was dragon. Okay.
Okay.
So they're
Yeah.
and they're almost all of them are in costume.
Yeah.
And there had to be like, I don't know, 80 or 100 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, and it was a court game.
Yeah.
But I mean, anyway,
Yeah.
I think that LARPers tend to be a little more sacrosanct with the setting.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah.
Speaking.
Really?
I-
Kurt is like that? I would never have guessed.
What?
I mean, Kurt runs
Maybe
it.
Kurt.
Kurt runs a real a serious
Oh, yeah.
vampire game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And which
for sure.
is not the same as a vampire game.
Yeah.
But but
But they're all on the LARPs
Yeah.
and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that is kind of among the genre of us who are gamers. That is a typical thing that I've seen too. I think.
I just want to make a badass outfit and then go hang out at the bar.
I want to do an L5R.
I know.
It would be
I just
so.
want. Yeah, I know. It's so much work though.
Oh yeah.
We've been talking about it for years, and every time I start looking at those patterns, I'm like,
Oh yeah.
it's so expensive.
And they're deceptively difficult to make
Oh,
as well.
yeah, absolutely.
You're like, oh, it's just some simple kimono robes.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
it's a whole big thing, and hakama pants are
Yeah,
just like, oh my
those are the
God.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to do a few of those for a production of Ron, and it was just, or Rashomon, and it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I hate this.
I got those
hate it.
patterns.
Yeah.
There was a couple anime characters I wanted to
Yeah.
do, but I wanted to do them like the full traditional outfit, not like the cosplay
Yeah.
anime style.
Right.
And I got the patterns like, nope.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Speaking of anime, if you want to convince Allie to play something other than D&D, something like Big Eyes Small Mouth or something,
Oh,
she
yeah.
loves anime.
Look into that.
Yeah.
She
Maybe
started-
the new Avatar.
Oh,
yeah.
RPG.
That's a good one.
Which I'm really excited about.
Oh, she loves Avatar.
Joe Koo's going to run it for us.
Yay.
You better invite me. So,
But I
yeah.
think it seems, at least from the reaction of that one player, I think if you're running a game that really breaks out of the genre,
Yeah.
the tone wise, I think you should very explicitly put that in your game
Yeah.
description.
Absolutely, yeah, for a con for sure.
Yeah.
And then if that's what you're planning for an ongoing campaign or like a home group or something, you just need to have that conversation when you start talking about
Yeah.
the game, because that's a thing that's one of the quickest frustrations for me is and I had to pivot real hard during we were going to do Strahd and Curse of Strahd, and I made a character that was like from the what's it called, from the the country that was just like turned into mist and everybody's dead.
Barovia?
No, we started in Eberron.
Yeah.
And we're going into Strahd.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
yeah. So sorry, yeah. So from the Eberron setting, there's the country that turns.
Oh, I don't know.
It's like it was just devastated and turned into death, and I'm playing this like
yeah.
haunted character with
Okay.
like I'm with like
What's the one with the big crater?
yeah, basically
Yeah.
And Kyre,
yeah.
Sire or Ciri or
CYRE.
Yes, CYRE. And so I've made this real haunted emo boy backstory, the Mournland. And then we go in, and because we're playing Strahd, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, a big emo backstory will be really cool. And then I find out that everybody else was like making not quite joke characters, but like really bizarre kind of off the beaten path characters, and all of them with a little bit of a humorous twist to them. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and luckily I figured that out like as we were going around the table introducing ourselves, and so I came later, and so I was like, well, you know what, I can do this. I can pivot and turn this into like, I'm kind of the parody of an emo,
Right.
like oh, I'm so depressed, and so like I was able to turn it into a less uptight character,
Right.
but it meant me shifting where I'd gone in my head.
Yeah.
And if I had known that the other players were going to come up with characters more like that from the beginning, I might not have gone down that path.
Yeah, that definitely needs to be like super clear in the beginning. And one thing I'm liking in some cons now, they actually have that as questions. Like, what is like the rating of this game? Like mature, all ages. They do that at Strategicon now when you register your game. And then like it should be the tone, like lighthearted, serious, like just have those as like questions that all the GMs fill out for all their games. So it's like specifically listed there. So you're not depending on like someone's ability in a description to like really clarify that. Because some people are great GMs and not great like at pitching their games.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you're usually limited by characters too. So it's like, okay, what do I get rid of out of the description to make sure I say that this is a lighthearted game? Or I've made this super clear. There's unicorns mentioned, and they're like, oh, I was thinking evil unicorns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just serious, not serious.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't take much.
Yeah.
Irreverent or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, just so you don't end up having problems, because you could have someone who's like, I want to play a late night vampire game where we're like the tortured souls and
Yeah.
everything like that.
Right?
And you
Yeah.
think that's what you're going into, and you don't
Yeah.
get that. I can understand. We'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it still might be fun,
Yeah.
but if you're like looking for that thing, like there's someone at like Archons who's like always runs like a midnight or 1 a.m. Werewolf game.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or I think someone else does a Call of Cthulhu game in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
very
Oh.
specifically for that reason, to really kind of capture the whole that whole feel.
Yeah.
Which and if you're trying to go for that, and also if you're trying to like really go for that very serious tone, put that in there too, because then you're
Yeah.
going to get people who are like, oh, I probably shouldn't sign up for this game.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think this is I've been toying with for a while of trying to help us come up with our own like gamer was it Myers-Briggs like
For gamers.
yeah, so like you've got this you could on one of the scales it's like serious to complete lampoon,
Right.
whatever. And then, one of the other scales is heavy into character versus heavy into plot. And then one of the other scales is like, I like lots of crunch. I like really story, and like having those sliders that we could all kind of say, well, oh, I'm an EFNP. And you're like, oh, okay, I will hate gaming with you.
We need a gaming dating app.
Right? Yeah.
That's exactly what we need.
We could call it Roller, ROLLR. So, copyrighted. #Roller. If you make that out there, just like send me money or something.
Yeah.
So, but,
No problem.
Kimmy will have it written next week. Yeah.
Oh no, I have to get the beta of Starscape out. That's my goal.
yeah,
By the end
yeah.
of by the next week, it will be out.
But I think sometimes we we get as gamers, we get in groups with each other, and we're like, oh wow, I just don't like you, but it's but it's really more like we just have different styles of play.
Right.
Yeah.
And
You're at the table for different reasons.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm one of those. I'm versatile. I'm verse. But like I like a lot of different games. I like my crunchy dungeon crawl D&D just fine. I enjoy it. But then I also want my good society and and I want my super serious teen superhero drama and and I can really pivot to different games because I enjoy different games for different reasons.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people they like a certain kind of game, and some people are just never going to like a crunchy system, no matter what the plot is, and some people are never going to like a story game system, no matter how how interesting they find the setting.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
Absolutely.
Now, I just wanted to mention from the AP, because Stork is in the chat room right now, and I just remembered this. He had the most epic Stork dice rolling event happened in our last session.
It was
no.
it was amazing. It was
He's playing a mage.
yeah.
He got a critical failure on a spell roll. Very inconsequential spell. It was like identify spell or something like a detect magic. Right?
I love that Stork typed in chat, I'm feeling attacked before we started this story.
That's why I decided to attack him.
Yeah.
He said, you haven't been attacked yet. You're going to be now.
Wait for it.
But he rolled a 17, which is critical failure because he had 13 skill. And then and I said, okay, we'll roll 3d6 because there's a critical spell failure table, and I'm reaching for the thing. So I rolled an 18. I'm like, someone can look it up, but I'm pretty sure that's the I accidentally summoned a demon one.
Don't say much more. Don't say what
I
happened
won't.
next. It's
I won't.
hilarious because
Okay.
you should go listen and watch this. It's very funny. Oh my
The
gosh.
players, wonderful people. They're playing the just shitty people. The characters are just. They let me set it up a little. I'll set it up just
Okay,
a
but
little.
don't give the ending. No
because
spoilers.
this was the game Halloween game.
Yeah, so it's like a one shot.
And we're missing a player, so I'm like, we're gonna have like a not really a side quest, but it's like you're going through this little village anyway. So when you go through this village, there's gonna be they're having a ghost problem.
Yeah.
Right. And what it was going to be was that there was like some family 1,000 years ago that lived way up, and this is like in the very desolate, very arid, sort of like almost not quite tundra area where people are trying to farm, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like this is a fucked up place, and the fact that the people live here is just beyond everyone. It's like
Alberta.
It's like that.
Happy Jacks RPG Podcast would like to apologize to our listeners in Alberta.
We live in Virginia. Remember that horrible song? Anyway,
All right,
Her name is Alberta. She lives in Vancouver.
Okay, continue.
So they're going to this town, and like it was situated where like a bunch of bandits came in and like murdered this whole family, and like one of the like some teenage boys survived, but they found his remains and buried it under this tree, and something about the tree was weird, and all of a sudden there's like this specter that's sort of like showing up in various places and things like that. So they end up like it's someone in the little, it's a little tiny village. It's probably like 800 people in the whole place, maybe if you take all the farmland around it as well. And they decide, okay, we're gonna. Someone says, "Oh, well, we have this problem with the thing," and I told everyone before the game started. I said, it's just like this little like mystery thing. So they're like, well, let's go investigate. So they go and talk to one farmer, and they go and talk to another farmer, and they're like, oh yeah, there's an abandoned the old mill house up way up north because it gets shittier and worse the farther north you get. So they go long abandoned stone house where there was a mill with a little creek with the big wheel thing, that whole deal. So they go and they find that, and they find the tree, and they find the grave, and then Stork's like, I'm going to see if this tree. The tree was weird because.
You're giving all the whole story away.
No, I'm not. Okay. No, because the end part is the preciously amazing part. You have to listen to it to ignore that because just garbage. They're just garbage human beings. so they're from the capital, right? The party is. So it's like, oh, you're from the imperial capital. Oh, well, we have this problem. Can you help us with it? We're just a bunch of little podunk people out here in the middle of nowhere. So they go off and they end up and they go to this tree, and the tree is like, looks like it has been dead for a really long time, but all of its leaves are laying underneath it. So this tree is just like died within the last couple of days, and all the leaves like turned red and fell off, or and he's like, well, I'm going to cast detect magic on the tree because I'm thinking this might have something to do. I'm like, okay, that's when he rolled his 18. So bad things happen. I didn't kill the party, just so you know, it wasn't a TPK because the actual GURPS, the thing says. The players inadvertently summon a demon and it immediately attacks the party, or some other terrible thing like this. Why?
Right.
I decided rather than well, I just said no. I know how to tease things. So because I want them to actually listen to it. Okay. So I'm going to tease them to the point where they have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So they now I forgot where I was.
Tree. Detect magic.
Summon a demon, attack the party, or
so
something
I
else.
said,
Something else.
rather than have the demon just attack them, because it would have killed them all, it's ruining the land. Like it's creating, it's basically changing the land to make it more habitable to its sort of entities. And what happens after that is the most fucked up thing I've ever had player characters do in a game. which I have to say, totally fits exactly with our session 0.
Okay.
It's like we're looking for like the fucked up. Yeah. And
So
they did it.
Are these the same characters that are in the campaign?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
One of the players is out, but his excuse for not being there was that something like rats or something got into their food stores as they're traveling.
Yeah.
So he's the ranger, so he's going to go out and like get a bunch of animals and forage or whatever. And so that's what he was doing. So when he comes back, he's going to
walk into this. Thank you, Stork.
It was the greatest Stork moment I think that has ever happened, because it was such a fuck up, and it was all the dice. It was all dice. It had nothing to do with him. His motives and everything he was trying to do made perfect sense. He's totally trying to help these people out with the problem that they're having in this little out of nowhere town, and it went not even sideways. It went upside down.
Oh.
And
now and it
buddy.
Those 2 dice rolls is going to, in some way, I don't know how yet, I've figured out by next week, it's going to change the course of the adventure.
Yeah.
The whole campaign, it's going to change it. Not a lot, but it is definitely going to change it.
I mean, it could be a lot. I mean, that's like, so I've been typing in my game Starscape about like, there's like parts where you explain like how to play a narrative game or stuff like that. You're like, all the bullshit that's in every game, and you're trying to say the same stuff that every other game has said, but different.
Right.
And like, I was like writing like that. It's like a conversation, but like really like ruminating on like the dice, like why we use dice. Cause I get like people who don't play RPGs ask that, like,
sure.
So you're just like pretending. So why do you use dice? It's like for moments like that you could never, you could kind of improv that, but someone would be leading about where it went and you'd be following them. It'd be like 2 plans. Like the dice give you those wild moments that are just unpredictable and unplannable, and
those end up being some of the most memorable moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is when the GM is like,
Right.
You rolled what?
Yeah.
On what roll? Okay.
And this is why, like, having Stork in a campaign is like the gift that just keeps on giving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, we still talk about his wild hallway, like, debacle when we were playing 4E. Like, and that was like over a decade ago.
Yeah,
we still
that was a
tell
long
that story
time ago
like
now.
routinely on this podcast.
That was like 2009.
Yes, it was forever ago, and we still tell that story. And now we have another one to hang next to it on the wall. The wild Stork failure stories.
Good job, Stork.
Oh, we love you.
And
You're our friend.
Stork's in the chat room says, randomizers are not my friend.
Right.
But are they? Like,
Yes,
maybe
they
they
are.
are. They make you famous and like infamous, and
And they bring so much joy to the people you're around.
That's right.
But not to the villagers. Sorry.
But right, yeah.
You see, now I have to figure out, because the sort of overarching sort of meta story for the campaign is a very serious, kind of serious. I mean, nothing is super serious, but it's the big dark mage thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's going on, but then they have this new fuck up, which might be worse than what they had going on before.
Stu's been like prepping for this game for like months.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
like, all right,
long time.
I have this amazing bad guy, and he's like,
Oh man,
No
Stork's
plan
the bad
survives
guy.
contact with the enemy. And
Right.
the players are the enemy.
Yes, they are.
that's amazing.
All right. Yeah, that's the other thing. Stork read my novels.
Yeah.
Because it's set in the same. It's 10,000 years earlier than
Yeah.
the novels are.
Yeah.
But he went and read through them, and he's like noticing, he's like, oh, I'm seeing stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like
cool.
different because now I know why it's here. It's not a big mystery because it's 10,000 years later and everyone's forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's starting to notice. He just said, "You have to rewrite your books now. I'm going to ruin the world."
Yeah.
But you know what? The little village they went to has a different name than that exact same village in book one of the series. So inadvertently, I forgot the name of the village, but now
you know
oh
why.
no, Stork destroyed that village.
Yeah.
And someone had to build a new one.
Right? Now you have a whole new plot for a new novel
Yes.
about why they forgot about this situation.
About
Yep.
these horrible adventures from the capital, just destroying this quiet agricultural society.
And they were so nice. The people there were, and they. Oh yeah, but anyway, if you want to see some classic Stork dice failures,
Oh my God.
it's in the last session. It's
I'm
up.
so
Erica,
excited.
I love you. Erica says, I was there 3,000 years ago when the strength of Stork's dice fails.
Don't speak to me of the old failures, which I was there when they were rolled.
Oh God. Okay.
All right.
We're like 20 minutes over
Yeah,
because
okay.
that was fucking amazing.
Oh God, I've missed you guys.
We missed you too!
I'm so glad to be.
All right.
Okay. Thank you for joining us for. Oh wait, I just have to play the.
Yeah, you
segment.
have to think.
Wrong song.
Again? You finally fixed it. Last week, you
I know.
finally
Wait,
got it
you
right.
didn't end the show with Storked It?
No.
Oh, should I end it with Stork?
You should 100% end the show with Storked It. Come
Let me
on.
find it. I'm pretty sure it's in here.
Okay.
Oh, Stork it might not be on here.
Oh no! What have you done?
I don't think
All right.
Stork it is.
Okay, so go Google Storked It, Angry Folk. What is it called? Angry Folk.
Angry Folk Band.
Band. Okay.
Yeah.
You had the podcast. There's a whole lot of Angry Folk things out there.
Yeah, I don't have it on here.
Okay, and it's an amazing song all about Stork and how we can't roll dice.
Right.
And it was written long before this epic moment.
Yes, it was.
Amazing. We'll end like another show in the
Yes.
future. No, when he's here next week, you can
Yeah.
end it. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for season 29?
There it is.
29, episode 6 of Happy Jacks RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Adam.
And I'm Kimmy.
And we'll see you next week at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time right here at happyjacks.org/live.
Yes. And also Sunday.
Sunday, a new campaign starting.
New game is starting. The Eye of Horus. It's Temples and Tombs, a system run by system writer Chris Gray. With an amazing cast. It's going to be super cool. So Mondays, Sundays, and Fridays right now.
Excellent. Thank you very much. See you next time.
The preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.